This is New York, and gay, straight, it's really not a big deal, at least in the past 10, 15 years, right?
Yeah, people can get married here now, right?
Sophisticated place, but you know what? In certain pockets and in certain areas of this country, you know, being gay can be quite a challenge. Now, something came to light this week that a lot of us did not know about. President Obama spoke out about something called conversion therapy. Let's talk about conversion therapy. Basically, it's a psychiatric technique, widely debunked, very controversial, that you can turn a gay person through therapy into a straight person. The President of the United States, the White House, put out a statement this week. As part of our dedication to protecting America's youth, this administration supports efforts to ban the use of conversion therapy for minors. Again, a psychiatric technique designed to change gay people to straight people.
Now, I didn't realize it's outlawed in New Jersey. They're considering it here in New York. We have a guest with us this morning. He underwent the controversial practice more than 10 years ago. Mathew Shurka, nice of you to join us here on Good Day New York. Tell us about this conversion therapy. You grew up on Long Island, right?
Born and raised on Long Island. I come out at 16 to my father. He gives me a wonderful response that he's going to support me no matter what. And you know, he has his own fears. What is it like having an openly gay son, and what does that mean? What are the career, family life, possibly being bullied?
Immigrant parents?
Mother's American, my father's from Israel. But I'm very Americanized,
right,
to say the least. But my father came across he started looking for a therapist and came across a conversion therapist who told him there is no such thing as homosexuality. Your son is suffering from a psychological condition, and because I'm so young, this is the best time to heal a person out of their homosexuality.
So what happens next? You're signed up for this conversion therapy, and what does that entail?
So my first therapy session is in Union Square at a doctor's office that got recommended to us, and the first steps that go into it are spending as much time with the young boys or peers at school as much as possible, and separating myself from females as much as possible, and that included my mother and my sisters.
So how did you separate from your mom and your sisters?
So my mother didn't agree to physically separate us. I came from a close-knit home, so that literally looked like me waking up in the morning, mom making me breakfast, me eating breakfast and walking out the door and never saying a word for her for 3 years.
So she never talked to you? She never hugged you?
She went along with it in the beginning, trusting the therapist's advice. Within months, she started to speak to me and tell me that she supported me, didn't agree with the therapy. However, I became the police officer in my own home. I thought I was fighting for my life, and I believed what the therapist is saying.
I'm curious about how separating yourself from your mother could have changed your orientation. More on that in a second. What are the other components of conversion therapy? What else did they put you through?
I mean, there's a lot of techniques that they'll go into sexual activity, whether it's how you watch pornography, what pornography you're watching. They'll go into masturbation techniques, and you know, this is something that any child goes through, but having an adult who's licensed by the state to use those as tools as a way of healing your homosexuality is
Was it traumatic? Was it traumatic for you?
Extremely. I mean, I was separated from my mother for 3 years. I was estranged from my father for 5. There was a use of Viagra pills. There's use of...
At 16 years old?
In my situation, it was at 18. I was in it from age 16 to 21 for 5 years total.
Did you feel like you were abused?
I thought I was disabled. I thought, you know, I'm 18 years old, I'm healthy, I'm young, I have my whole life ahead of me, and I'm being told that there's something wrong and it has to be cured.
Did you want the therapy to work? Did you want to become a straight person at the time?
At 16, when my father said everything was great, I thought that I was good, but when doctors are telling me that I have a higher chance of committing suicide if I come out of the closet, I was afraid, and to me it was life or death. So I said, okay, what do I have to do to overcome this?
So, okay, at what point did you say, I'm not doing this anymore?
I was 21, and there's a pattern with conversion therapists. Every conversion therapist is a conversion therapist for a reason. They have themselves have said they've cured themselves, they've had a gay child, or something that in their own personal life had brought them to become that. Because there's not a single curriculum in the country that teaches conversion therapy. The APA doesn't approve of it. So to become one, you actually have to go out, in terms of a license and getting that degree, you actually have to go out of your way to just go against everything you've been taught in school and become a conversion therapist.
Wow, so you're working now full-time against this. You're involved, you fully support what the president is doing, and there's actually an effort underway to support that.
Yes. Yeah, we've been working. So I'm a co-leader for the Born Perfect campaign with NCLR. NCLR is the National Center for Lesbian Rights based in San Francisco. And we made a 5-year promise that in 5 years, nationwide, we would have conversion therapy completely outlawed by licensed therapists for minors. And we're 1 year in. We had 16 states introduce the bill nationwide, and our deadline is in 2019.
Where's New York on this in this plan?
It just went through committee. It's up for assembly vote under Deborah Glick. I'm very excited. I think New York is going to be its year.
Did you need therapy after conversion therapy? I mean, I'm serious. Did you have to like?
It's a good question, and yes. It took mentors, it took family, it took a lot of love, it took psychotherapists, and it took a lot of trust to trust another state licensed therapist to overcome that, and I came out at 23.
Matthew, thank you so much for coming on Good Day New York and sharing your story with us. I'm sure it must have been very difficult to talk about that again. So.
And you're cool with your family now?
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I'm very close to my mother and my father. It took something, but we're there and it's great.
I'm really glad to hear that. Matthew Shurka, thank you very much, man. Good to see you. All right, quite a story.
Thank you.
Huh. All right. Let's take a look outside, please, huh? Wild stuff. Interesting.